So I already knew that Venti is a popular character, but I didn't knew that he was that popular. And that made me thinking of I do need a guide from this guy on my channel. So what is up guys, name is Ray and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. We're currently on the account of my girlfriend. She was lucky enough to get herself one copy of Venti. It is one of her favorite characters. On my account personally, I still do not own a Venti till this day. I'm not really interested into this character, even though it is the best character in the game. So yeah, I do think Venti is the best character or best overall character in the game. And in today's video, we want to go over his different builds, talents, his team compositions, and talk about how good this character actually is. I still think he is not a must pull because you guys can see I have a 36-star Abyss clear. I did do everything on my account without Venti since day one. So I played the game since day one. And so that's the reason why I do think that Venti is not a must pull. Of course, he makes a lot of things very, very easy or way easier for you. But still though, you do not need to pull for this character if you do not like him. So because I think that there are a lot of people that are thinking that they are forced to pull for Venti because he is such a good character. He is, but if you do not like him, don't pull for him. So let's go into his talents right away. So for his auto attacks, I don't want to talk too long. I think that his hit combos, they are very nice. They are pretty fast. He does do a double hit on the first and on the fourth hit, but actually you are never really normal attacking with Venti. As you can see, I did level up all the talents up to level 6, which I wouldn't recommend for the normal attack. So even if you are hyper investing in Venti, it is not really worth to invest in his normal attacks. There are some builds that you can run him as a main DPS, but in this video I want to focus as sub DPS or the support Venti, because I do not think that main DPS Venti is worth the play. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to do that. Skyward Sonnet, it basically has two different multipliers, meaning that you have a press E and the hold E. So actually, the only thing that I would really use in combat is the press E. It has a much lower cooldown. You can generate more particles in the same time while you have to wait for the hold E. So you can use two press damage E's, which are with this multiplier at level 6, over 700. These are like about 760%. And if you're using one hold E in the time of two press E's, you only have the multiplier of 530% or waiting for 15 seconds of cooldown. So hold E is usually really good if you want to go for exploration in the open world, because then you have the Ascension 5 or 4 talent, which gives you the upcurrent that lasts for 20 seconds. So I think that this is more useful, yeah, if you want to use that for exploring the map. Press E is pretty good. Yeah, I already mentioned that. So let's go over the Elemental Burst. So the multipliers, they don't seem pretty high, but the Elemental Burst has a duration of 8 seconds, cooldown of 15 seconds, which means you have a 7 seconds of cooldown, energy cost of 60. But honestly, guys, I think you already know that Elemental Burst of Venti is the strongest Elemental Burst in the game. It is the reason why Venti is the best character. So basically, on paper, you do not see much on the numbers, but it actually does a lot of damage. Another important fact is that the Stormeye of the Elemental Burst, if it comes in contact with any of these elements, you can transform it and it will swirl those elements. So yeah, I think that it is not as good to see as like Sucrose ult, but usually you should see, like, for example, if you swirl Hydro with his Elemental Burst. Alright, then we want to go over this one. This is also very broken. It makes this ability even better. You regenerate 15 energy for Venti after the effect of Wind Growth, Wind's Grand Oath, and if an elemental absorption occurred, this also restores 50 energy to all character of that corresponding element in the party. So basically, you're guaranteed to get 50 energy back, which makes this energy cost to 45 automatically if you are at Ascension State 5 or 6. Is this at Ascension? I think this is at Ascension 5. You will get this at Ascension 5. yeah, that's basically already it for the talents. We want to talk about a little bit of the combos later on. So let's maybe go for the weapon. So let's talk about the 5-star options first. So we obviously have the new one, the Elegy for the Ant, which was clearly tailor-made for Venti, but actually it is not his best in slot weapon. So there are two things on this bow which doesn't make it the best option. Number one, it is how Venti works. Venti is like not that kind of support that increases the damage of the characters in your team like Bennett or Zhongli or even Sucrose. He is the character that wants to deal a lot of damage while he is not on the field. So he works more like a sub DPS rather than a support character, which this weapon is actually made for. You have a lot of energy recharge, which he doesn't really need because he already has a 45 energy cost ultimate with his Ascension 5 stat, as well as if you're running 2 anemo characters, he doesn't need more energy recharge, or if you have like good rolls on your artifacts, you also do not need like 50 energy recharge on a weapon. So this subset is kind of wasted. The other thing is that the passive on this bow is still very amazing. Venti's ult does snapshot, so that it means that if you use the ultimate before, like for example Bennett's ult, then the damage of the ultimate can't be influenced after you used Bennett's ultimate. So you really want to use Bennett's ultimate first and then swap in for Venti's ultimate, which makes this weapon only functions as a support weapon. So you still can increase the 100 elemental mastery and the attack bonus for your team, but a character in the game that does this already is Sucrose, and Sucrose does this way better because you need to trigger all the effects of this weapon to get the 100 elemental mastery increase and the attack increase of 20%, and Sucrose basically can do this with only one E or with his or with her elemental burst when she infuses or transforms it into the right element. So I think that it is not the right thing to transform Venti into a Sucrose when a lot of people are saying that Sucrose is the mini Venti. So the other options on that would be Skyward Heart and Amos Bow, which are more damage options. So I think Skyward Heart definitely is the best option. It gives you crit rate, it gives you crit damage just from the passive, and also the passive of the weapon itself is very good for Venti. It makes you to build him a lot easier. So till this day, honestly, Skyward Heart is still the better option. Amos Bow also a very good option, even though you do not use normal and charge attacks on him. It makes it a little bit harder to build him if you use Amos Bow, but it has like very good substats for, it has the attack percentage substat, which still helps you out a lot, and with a 5-star bow, it is a solid option. But now I want to talk about the 4-star options, and I think that there are a lot of 4-star options that are better than Amos Bow, as well as better as Elegy of the Ant. Only Skyward Harp is the real winner. So Stringless, I was always thinking that Stringless is the best option, but it loses because the substat is Elemental Mastery. So we have the Alley Hunter, pretty new bow. So with refinements, this one will be a very good bow. It is as good as the Amos Bow damage wise, just because of the passive. So if you have the opportunity to get the Alley Hunter one day, I would definitely recommend to get yourself a copy of this if you want to use it on your Venti. Still though, Stringless is a very solid option. It is not the best option, but definitely very, very good. I think Black Clip Warbow is also a very good option. So I think there's not really a bow that you can do wrong with Venti, but if I have to rank the bows, I would say that Alley Hunter is the best one. Viridescent Hunt, the next best one. It has also crit rate. It helps you a lot with building Venti. The passive, you can include the passive one into that, even though Venti doesn't really need it. Stringless, a super good option. Also the new free-to-play bow, if I can find it here, the Windbloom Ode, is one of his best free-to-play options. So I would rather go for the Windbloom Ode than for any of the craftable weapons if you want to save yourself some resources. Sacrificial Bow or Favonius Bow is often a question that people are asking. I would go for Sacrificial Bow over the Favonius Bow, since Sacrificial Bow can reset your E skill, so you will have basically, even though Favonius Bow has a higher energy recharge rate, you still can use 2 E's and then you can get the particles back, while having more damage with the sacrificial bows. Yeah, so just to summarize it real quick, Alley Hunter, best option. Stringless, Viridescent Hunt, I think they are about to be equal. And Sacrificial Bow over Favonius Bow. Windbloom Ode is still a very good option, but you have a lot of better options if you have like one of the gacha weapons. Artifact sets are pretty simple. 4-piece Viridescent Veneer is the clear winner. It is his best in-slot artifact set. So you have the option to go for 2-piece Viridescent Veneer and 2-piece Noblesse of Bleach, as well as 4-piece Noblesse of Bleach. But I already mentioned that Venti is not the best character to buff your party members, so you do not really want to run the 4-piece Noblesse of Bleach set. So between 2-piece Noblesse of Bleach and 2-piece Viridescent Veneer, in the theory or on paper, you would think that it would deal more damage, but the 4-piece Viridescent Veneer increases the swirl damage with 60%. This will work with your Elemental Burst, the ability that you want to use the most. So you want to maximize the damage with using Viridescent Veneer. So I can show you like the subsets of mine real quick. You want to focus on crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, as well as energy recharge, and afterwards Elemental Mastery. So Elemental Mastery is like not the main set that you want to run on Venti on none of these slots. So I still would always recommend to run the attack percentage on the timepiece. Don't go for energy recharge or elemental mastery. You would waste on a lot of damage and a lot of potential. Try to get those stats in the subsets of the artifact pieces, as well as a Nemo damage bonus for the goblet and a crit rate or crit damage piece for the circlet. In general, I think energy recharge and elemental mastery, they are not too important, so you can or you have to focus more on crit rate, crit damage, and attack percentage stats. I think these three are the most important ones, and if you can, add in energy recharge and elemental mastery. Alright, so what you want to aim for at the end for his stats, or actually these are pretty bad stats, but I can't do better at the moment. So for the showcase, you want to see these stats. You want to have at least 50% crit rate and 100% crit damage, if not more, because damage wise Venti will scale the more you level in. Of course, Swirl is a reaction that does scale off of elemental mastery and your level, so you really want to invest into that character. Usually support the characters or not characters that you want to heavily invest in, but Venti is like the perfect character in all stages. If you do not invest in him, he will do amazing, but if you do invest in him, he will do even better and better. Yeah, for energy recharge, his Ascension set is already energy recharge, so you will have about 130 energy recharge when you do ascend him fully to level 90. So you can add in like 10 to 20% or to 30% energy recharge to get up to 150, 160 energy recharge. I think that should be enough to get his elemental burst off cooldown. If you have troubles with getting energy recharge, the other option would be to run a battery. So one of the most popular combos is running Venti with Jean, even though Venti with Bennett I think is a bit better. But if you have issues with his cooldowns, then I would definitely recommend to go for Jean. If not, you can use him with Sucrose. It kind of works, but Sucrose and Venti, they are doing similar things, even though the focus of Sucrose is more the elemental mastery sharing, while the focus for Venti is his damage and the better CC that he can provide. Other than that, I think that he could work with Zhao. I think, in my personal opinion, this is not the combo to run, but you can do it. So Zhao could be a partly better because he has 2 charges on his E. You have 2 anemo characters, so you will get the elemental burst of both characters more often. Yeah, let's talk about his constellations. So for his constellations, I think you do need none of those to get his full potential, but they do increase his damage, and this is the only thing that you want to do on Venti. You want to increase his damage because everything else he has already at Constellation 0. So number 1 I think is pretty useless. You do not need a Constellation 1. You never aim shot with this character. Constellation 2 decreases anemo resistance, which automatically is an increase of your damage. Talent level by 3, automatic increase of your damage. This also increases anemo damage when you pick up elemental orbs, also pretty good. Then elemental burst, damage increased by 3 levels, and his 6 constellations. Targeted damage who have targets who are affected by his elemental burst or have a Nemo resistance shred. So basically he decreases the resistance while he uses his elemental burst. Alright, let's go into T-builds, then we want to go into the gameplay. Team comps with Venti are pretty easy. Basically, he is always the best in slot sub DPS or support for your team compositions. He will always fill the role because he does provide damage, he does provide utility, he has the things that your team always do need, and he is very easy to use. So I just give you like some recommendations that I can use with the characters that I have on this account. For example, we did have Klee as the sub DPS, Sincho as an enabler for the Vaporize elemental reaction, Jean as a healer, as well as the battery for Venti. So they both have their ultimates up on cooldown, and of course Venti, you guys know the deal. Yeah, basically how you can transform this team is, so depending on your main DPS character, you really can swap between all the other roles. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Sincho, so I can also use this one. So I can proc Meld, even though if you do not have Jean, I think most of you guys should have Bennett by now. So we can make use of the elemental resonance of 2 fire. It will also increase the damage from Venti, and I still can replace Kea with any other one. So even though if I'm not using elemental reactions, a option like this is very solid. So you have 2 off-field supporters with Venti and Albedo. We have a healer, we have Klee. It will work fine with that. So basically, you can just fit Venti into your team how you want it. I think that everything works, but keep in mind that he is a Nemo character. He will swirl. Alright guys, so let me explain Venti's main combo real quick. There's only just really one combo that you guys have to understand, which is very easy to use. So you basically want to use the E, and then you want to animation cancel it with the elemental burst or with your Q. So all you need to do is you want to use E, then you use elemental burst, and then you will get the particles for your E. It will be on the best possible cooldown. And yeah, so basically I just want to show you that now. Let's get into a good position. Use E and tap into elemental burst, and you can see that I got the elemental particles right away. So, and after the duration of everything ended, you can see that my ultimate is nearly up again. So if you did use like a battery, or if you would swap like in between your combo, so I think in this scheme composition, as you can see, I do not really necessarily need a battery for Venti. I maybe do need a little bit more energy recharge, but not really. If I do swap between my teams and I can transition the energy into Venti, right, I will be off cooldown. So maybe you want to go into the Spiral Abyss to show that, because I think it will be the easiest way to show off Venti's abilities. Alright, so we just want to pick this one so we do not influence the damage. Also, I did change Jean for Bennett, so I do not have too many of the 5-star characters, because Klee is already a 5-star character, even though Kea is not the optimal option here. So you can see that I do a Ice Swirl, and basically I do not have to do anything, but what I can use is Klee. I swap or bump in my fire attack, so I have the melt reaction, and this stage is nearly done already. Ultimate is already back up again, even though I never used anything. So what I really want to do now is want to use this, use Baron. We want to tap into the animation canceling, and look at this. I still can use Kea, I still can use Klee without any troubles. So yeah, of course this is just floor 9. It is a pretty easy one, but my girlfriend didn't done the current reset of the Spiral Abyss. So this time I wasn't able to get the reset for the ultimate, so I have to use another E, but then I can already use the ultimate back up again. So just by that, I want to show you guys that it doesn't really matter in which direction or in which order you use it. What you cannot do is that you use Bennett ultimate after Venti's ultimate, so it won't increase his ultimate damage. Okay, so let's repeat this one time again. What I want to do now is I want to use Bennett's ultimate before, so we can increase the damage of Venti's ultimate. Alright, so we want to swap to Bennett, use ultimate, get Venti animation, cancel his E, And basically that's how it works. So you can see, and I can stand here and do literally nothing. And we can see Venti's ultimate is back, nearly back up again. So you really want to fight between, and if you use like Bennett's ultimate for now, then the damage won't be increased for Venti's ultimate. Okay, so I did build the exact same team again, just instead of Bennett I used Jean to see if we can fix the energy issue. The goal is to have Venti's ultimate off cooldown, so if you, after the duration of his ultimate, you want to have it back again. Now let's use this, animation cancel it, swap E, swap back to Venti, and then we want to infuse this with some flea bombs. And you can see, we have it. We have it off cooldown. Now what we can do is, of course, maybe we want to run over there. And we want to animation cancelling this again. E, use this. And swap in. So yeah, it is not perfect. We do not have a perfect rotation, but we only have to use another E, so we can use this again. And it's done. Alright guys, that's already it for the showcase. As you could see, Venti is a pretty nutty character. That's why I was refused to show him, because you basically always want to do the same. You want to EQ and actually swap between your other characters. Try to manage to get his ultimate back. Like, that's the main thing that you really want to do on this character. Yeah, I think there's not really much anything else to say. I hope I could help you out with this Venti guide if you did pull for him. And if you think to pull for him, go ahead and do so. It is still the best character in this game till this day, in my personal opinion. But yeah guys, if you guys made it until here, like, comment and subscribe. It would help me out a lot, and I see you guys next time.